Did you know that we can see a traumatized brain under an X-ray scan? Did you know that trauma is stored in the body? So if my egg that makes my child was made in my mother, don't you see that it at least takes 2 generations to get through one issue? So let's say I have issues with my mother that I never resolved. Don't you think those issues will show up in my relationship with my child? Even more so if that child is a female child? And when that female child starts raising her children, don't you think that trend will continue? One mother passing it to her child until everybody's sick of it and somebody raises their hand and says they've had enough and they're going to break away from the family and do better. And they do, and the family shuns them and makes fun of them and ostracizes them and makes them feel like they're the stupid one. They're the low vibrational one. They're the one here, when really they're the one higher. But the family is so sick and diseased that they think it's like this when it's like that. And by the way, this is why water signs are some of the most emotionally sick people, especially if you find it at the moon. Because for water, it looks like this. You have to swim downstream to get to the top. It's a lot harder than swimming up. But swimming up is what makes it hard, is you need a lot of passion. You've got guts, so you just gotta go for it. And water is the most sick element because it requires purging when it gets stagnated. If we can't take out the pus, we can't heal. When we heal our bloodline. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't get. Healing literally changes your DNA. Did you know that? So back to your point about feeling broken or different versions of you, that is a natural part of dealing with trauma. When you've lived traumatic experiences or have dealt with trauma, you understand that there will be fragmented parts of you that develop. And when I used to work as a therapist, a big part of coping with trauma is finally working through integration of personalities and moods. Because what happens to a lot of people who've been traumatized is that they like to leave the trauma where it happened. You know, it's like they got hit by a car and then they were in a hospital for a month and couldn't sleep next to their mom and dad, and they were only 5 years old and they were so scared. And they were surrounded by strangers and it was cold, the light was bright in that room. And the food was never good. It was a really miserable time. They couldn't get out of bed and they couldn't play, they couldn't have fun. That's trauma. But is that 8-year-old talking about it with somebody? Don't you think that 8-year-old, if they become an adult, if they have a child that happens to turn 8 years old, that it might trigger this event that happened to them that they never dealt with? So basically all humans are doing is giving each other the trauma that they didn't resolve. That's it. So the different versions of you are natural and normal, but the goal of therapy or healing is to really integrate them. This is what we talk about when we talk about balance. We're talking about integration of intelligence and emotion. So there's emotional intelligence, right? And then there's intellectual intelligence, 2 different sides of the brain. Left brain and right brain is what we're talking about. We're talking about cohesion, where there's balance on both sides, right? Because we all want to be deeply rooted like a mountain on earth. So that means we have to also balance our femininity and masculinity. When that person cuts in front of you at that restaurant, the masculine response is assuming they want to fight, so you become aggressive. That's the top of the masculinity response. Or you just outright punch them and start cursing them out. Didn't you see me standing here? Right? And then the extreme feminine response is to pretend like nothing happened, because you don't want any confrontation. You want to get along with everybody. And then somewhere in between, there's a healthy path that all of us are supposed to follow. And that path will look like acknowledging the emotion that comes from that interaction, saying to yourself what the emotion is, so that you're aware of what you're feeling when you're feeling it, owning that this is your feeling and it has nothing to do with that person intended to do or who they are or where they come from. Basically, stop pretending that you're that person and you live inside their body and you know what they're going through. And then using your throat chakra to stand up for yourself. Say, hi, I'm not sure if you saw me, but I was standing here. Balance. But many people don't have that. People that are struggling with their masculine energy, they're going to have a lot of resentment towards you, but they won't say a thing. But they will get home and call one of their friend or family member to talk about you. But really, you needed them to speak up so they could learn. Like, this behavior is not appropriate. Let's fix it. Oh, someone said I look beautiful. Thank you so much for the compliment. I appreciate it. And someone earlier said they wanted to know who the karmics are. Capricorn, Aquarius, and Scorpio. This is why when these people leave your life falls apart. Always. Because when they leave you, it means the mission is done. And Capricorn in particular is very aware of their mission. They do not play around. This is why they're so serious. It's not that they're mean. It's that they know why they came to Earth. They were very aware of this since they were little. So anything that you bring towards them that is not conducive to that bigger plan, they're not interested in that. It's not their business. Their business is what they know is their business. And this is why they're very serious about it. Who has the next astrology question? Someone is asking, does it matter what placements of the karmics? Rising, sun, and moon, and especially if they have 3 or more placements in these signs, and 2 of them needing to be in their personal planets. So when I say 2 or more placements, I'm not talking about Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter. I'm talking about your personal placements. And what the standard approach to this is 2 of those placements need to come from your personal planets, because that's what makes it personal, is that those are your big 6. Kia said, yes, my best friend was a Capricorn. When he died, my healing journey began. And that's good. Yes. When Capricorn leaves, some shit's about to hit the fan. Because they usually come to help you. Capricorn literally comes to give you their hand so you can hold it. And you can do it together. Because they're very together conscious. And Aquarius comes to enlighten you. Give you facts that you didn't know before. Get you to think differently about things you never thought about before. And Scorpio comes to punish you. When a Scorpio comes into your life, it's not because you've been living well. For Scorpio, it's always a negative reason. For Capricorn, most of the time it's a negative reason. And for Aquarius, it could go either way. Because Aquarius assumes that maybe you just haven't been told that it's important to be kind and to be a good person, to be a humanitarian, to be someone that's devoted themselves to service and social justice. Maybe no one has told you that the only way Earth can become more loving and peaceful is if we become more loving and peaceful towards ourselves. And then, now that we recognize what that emotion is and we know how to maneuver that energy, we can then transfer it to one another. So Aquarians will, unlike the other 2, Aquarians will give you way more chances to get right. Because they're a bit idealistic. This is why they're towards the end of the zodiac wheel, right next to Pisces. So that's why I always say if an Aquarius doesn't like you, then you need to check yourself. Because you're probably not a good person. Because Aquarius likes everybody. They may not want to associate with everybody, but they're the most non-judgmental, accepting of every ism that there exists in the world. If they don't like you, it's because of a character flaw. Aquarius is a zodiac sign of friendship, so they take friendship very holy. Friendship is very holy in our book. It's very sacred. It's something that you honor. So they don't like a lot of people, so when they open their lives and hearts to you, they expect something back, which is integrity, ethics, values, dignity, which is something Capricorn would have already learned before they became Aquarius.